Afternoon, committee. We'll get started. And I've got another mic on. I got to get on. Okay, is that better? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. We'll open the hearing on House Bill 2019. And Revisor Wagner, would you brief us on that, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm Chris Wagner from the Revisor's Office. House Bill 2019 designates two bridges on US Highway 54 as the Jack Taylor Memorial Bridge and the Max Zimmerman Memorial Bridge. The highway signs designating those bridges are not to be placed until the requirements of KSA 6810, 114 are met. And that provides that the Secretary of Transportation shall not place any highway signs until the Secretary has received sufficient funds from gifts and donations to cover the costs of those signs, plus an additional 50% of that initial cost to pay for future maintenance and replacement costs for those signs. I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee has.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, call our first proponent, Representative Francis. You may do it there, or you can go up front, whichever you prefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Helgerson, question already. Could I help you? I'd prefer after the committee meeting, since a number of individuals from my community are watching online. So let's take that one offline, okay? But I would ask one thing, and you'll understand my request is I would ask that you not do a division vote on this. Thank you, Chairman Prail and members of the committee. I've got a bunch of written testimony here, and I won't bore you by repeating it verbatim, but you know, as I was thinking about this, you know, Western Kansas, our towns were built as they followed the railroad west. They were built by town companies, promoters. And that legacy is very much alive in our communities even today. And naming these bridges after Max and Jack is a part of that legacy. I think those of you from small town America, you know that guy that was always there trying to grow your town and trying to promote it. He wasn't afraid to dream. And these individuals exemplify that. They worked tirelessly for years. They spent a lot of their own personal funds to try to achieve the dream of an interstate from Wichita to El Paso that ran through liberal Kansas. And these two bridges are being built as part of the T-Works plan that still hadn't been finished. And one bridge is being built because of that. The other is a companion bridge. It's an existing bridge that'll still be there. Anyway, I just can't say enough about what community leaders these guys were. If you look in there, Max had a lot to do with Dorothy's House, the Land of Oz exhibit, the Mid-America Air Museum. Jack was our chamber director for years. And then they took this one on. I don't know if the chairman ever had the opportunity to meet Jack Taylor, but he was passionate about improving Highway 54. And I know there's a number of members at Department of Transportation that remember, as well as Senator Pat Roberts and Senator Moran, his passion for improving that highway. So I would ask for you to please consider this bill favorably, and I would be glad to ask any hard questions so that some of the other conferees that aren't quite as used to it don't have to deal with it. Is there any questions?
Representative Delperdang.
Thank you, Chairman, and I'll be nice to you. Can you tell me approximately when each of these individuals passed?
Let's see, Max passed, I took that out. I was looking at it. Jack died about 2 or 3 years ago. He's died since I was in office. And then Max, it was prior to that. And I don't have the date off the top of my head.
I'll follow up. Thanks.
Yeah, it's within the last 5 or 6 years. I can find it for you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, you got off pretty easy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we have April Warden, Seward County Administrator. Welcome to the committee.
Okay, there you go.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chairman Prill and members of the House Transportation Committee, I just want to thank you for allowing us to testify on behalf of this matter today in regards to naming the new bridge and the existing bridge on Highway 54 in honor of Max Zimmerman and Jack Taylor for their lifelong efforts on improving Highway 54 and the Spirit organization. I was born and raised in this very community, and I'm now serving as the county administrator. I have been able to witness amazing changes in our community over the years, and there's many individuals that come to mind that I've gained knowledge from, that have mentored me and showed me what can happen when you have the vision and the drive to make something happen, especially for the very place that we call home. And those two gentlemen were two of those very people to me, Max Zimmerman and Jack Taylor. In 1995, at a Kansas State Transportation Committee meeting that was held right here in Liberal, the seed was planted for the Southwest Passage Initiative for Regional and Interstate Transportation, which is Spirit. The idea was to promote US 54 route from Wichita, Kansas to El Paso, Texas, as a 4-lane divided trade corridor. Max Zimmerman was the president at that time of the organization, and Jack Taylor, as Representative Francis said, was the executive director of the Liberal Chamber of Commerce at the time. And when Spirit was formed, I was just completing college. I wish I could say I was that young now, but I can truly say I witnessed those two individuals work passionately and tirelessly to achieve the results that they had envisioned for our community and all of those along Highway 54. In 2001, I became employed by Seward County, Kansas, and had the opportunity to work directly with them. I was able to travel with Jack Taylor to various local, state, and federal meetings. And it just intrigued me, the relationships that he had built along the way. When we went somewhere, they knew who he was, who he represented, and where he was from. It amazed me, the networks and the relationships that he had built along the way. It makes me very happy to think that we might have the opportunity to name the bridges after those two gentlemen and the leaders who had the dream and had the vision and made so much progress over the years that they worked on it. I want to thank you for your time and allowing us to share our testimony, and ask for your consideration in naming the new bridge and existing bridge on Highway 54 for Max Zimmerman and Jack Taylor in honor of their legacy and their lifelong commitment to our community and those along Highway 54. Thank you.
Questions for Ms. Warden? Hearing none, we'll move on to Ada Lindenbroker, Seward County Commissioner, Chair. Welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would first like to thank this committee for allowing me to speak today, and would also like to thank you for moving forward with our two T-Works projects and our future Share Program project on Highway 83 and Sally Road. These three projects will improve the safety and economic future of Seward County. Today, I'm here to speak about two of our community's most supportive citizens who spent their lives to improve Seward County by getting 4-lane highway from Wichita, Kansas to Liberal, Kansas on Highway 54. Jack Taylor and Max Zimmerman were our guiding forces for over 30 years and were willing to travel throughout the state and to Washington to keep Liberal and our projects on everybody's minds. When I became a county commissioner 10 years ago, one of my first projects was to meet the engineers to discuss the needs of the 54 highway to be expanded to 4-lane. During these many meetings, Jack Taylor and myself agreed that one of the most important factors was getting a second bridge at the Cimarron River crossing. Over the past years, there have been multiple accidents on our one bridge. We worked hard as a team to get this bridge for safety reasons alone. Jack Taylor died January of 2018 and Max Zimmerman died in May of 2016. When I learned we were getting the second phase of our T-Works project, including the bridge, I thought what a great idea to name the new bridge the Jack Taylor Memorial Bridge in his honor. I later thought it might be a good idea to also name our original bridge the Max Zimmerman Memorial Bridge in his honor. That way people driving to and from Liberal can always remember who worked so hard to keep us safe on our highways. I have spoken to several people about this project, and I have got a lot of positive responses and requests to be able to donate funds to this project. In closing, I would ask this committee approve the Jack Taylor Memorial Bridge and the Max Zimmerman Memorial Bridge to honor these men from our community. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Yes, anyone have any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Roselle Webb, Liberal Chamber of Commerce, CEO. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. I appreciate the House Transportation Committee for allowing us to testify before you today. Jack Taylor and Max Zimmerman both stand out for the many years of time, energy, lobbying, and promoting that they have given to improve Highway 54. They spearheaded the efforts of Spirit and for 25 to 30 years, right up until the day they passed away. Their goal was to improve 54 Highway all the way to El Paso, Texas, not only for the safety of those traveling on Highway 54, but also to increase the economic impact that a 4-lane highway brings to communities along the 54 route. Jack and Max were instrumental in getting 4 miles of 4 lanes and an overpass completed on Highway 54 just west of Liberal in August of 2006. Jack was relentless in his efforts to get that project approved and completed. So much so that at the grand opening ceremony, Senator Jerry Moran declared to the crowd with tongue in cheek, "I am really glad to see this project completed because Jack Taylor has been like gum on my shoe." Jack and Max kept their dream alive through countless hours of promoting and fighting for their cause. It would be very fitting that we name the bridges that cross Cimarron River on Highway 54 the Jack Taylor Memorial Bridge and the Max Zimmerman Memorial Bridge. Thank you for considering our request on House Bill 2019.
Are there questions for Ms. Webb? Seeing none, thank you very much for all of you being here with us today. We appreciate it very much. Does anyone else wish to speak as a proponent? Hearing none, I have no opponents and no neutral listed. Does anyone wish to speak as an opponent? Hearing none, anyone wish to speak as neutral? Hearing none on that, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2019 and we'll open the hearing on House Bill 2132. Revisor Wagner, would you brief us on that, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Chris Wagner from the Revisor's Office. House Bill 2132 would designate a bridge on US Highway 77 as the PFC Loren H. Larson Memorial Bridge. Same compliance with KSA 6810-114 to provide sufficient funds to cover the costs, plus an additional 50% to cover maintenance or replacement costs. All right, answer any questions the committee has.
Are there any questions for the reviser? See none? Good job, Chris. Thank you. I have listed as proponents. First one is Representative Susie Carlson. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Last year, we brought this bill and all the testimonies that are in your packet. These people were here in person. It was family members and friends, and I think we were all very touched and very moved by their testimonies. But I am here as a proponent for House Bill 2132, an act concerning roads and highways designating a bridge over Fancy Creek Bridge located on US Highway 77 in Riley County as the PFC Lauren H. Larson Memorial Bridge. Private First Class Lauren Larson served in the 1st Cavalry Division in the 2nd Battalion, 5th Cavalry E Company. He began his tour on May the 3rd, 1969. He was killed in action on June 20th, 1969. As you will read in the testimony, many of these soldiers have not been recognized for the Vietnam service, and in recognition of this Gold Star family, this would be one way that we can show honor and respect to one of these fallen soldiers. Naming this bridge in his honor and this great soldier is a symbol of strength, honor, respect, and it becomes part of the family's fallen warrior legacy and history. The bridge will pass the torch on to countless generations and show them who the fallen warriors were and how much they sacrificed for our nation. This bill represents that we named the highway, the Fancy Creek Bridge on Highway 77 in Riley County, designated as PFC Lauren Larson Memorial Bridge on behalf of the Larson family and many friends. Thank you for allowing this bill to be heard. And I believe, like I said, the written testimonies should be in your packet.
Are there any questions for Representative?
And one other thing I'd just like to add, in the packet, there's a couple of the testimonies that speak about going to high school and growing up with Lauren Larson and how much of a fisherman and a hunter he was and how much he loved the Fancy Creek Marina and Milford Lake. And they also speak about playing football. And then there were 6 of these men, boys, that went to Beloit to Votech together, and they lived in a house together. Of those 6, when they graduated, they knew it wouldn't be too long till they probably saw each other. Out of those 6, 4 of these young boys were drafted and went to Vietnam. And Lauren Larson was the one of the 4 that didn't make it home. And those other 3 remember him. And anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Representative Carlson. Appreciate it. Committee, I would, was there a question? Oh, Representative Ballard, I'm sorry, I missed you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your opening, you talked about the Vietnam era. And there were so many of them that were just forgotten. But not only that, but they were treated so poorly when they did come back after, giving their life, in this case, for their country and everything else. And I remember hearing this last year. And I just want to say, I think it's just so fitting that at least this would say to those that are living, and the Vietnam veterans are dying at a very high rate right now, that the country maybe has changed from the time they were serving, when they were drafted, did not really have a choice, that we realized that they were giving their lives for the country, defending the country, and they deserved, a thank you for your service as well. And I think this is one way that we can do it. So thank you for bringing it back again.
Thank you very much. And I believe that one of the proponents last year that testified is someone that Chair Perel served somewhere closely with, and that was Mr. Kopachik. And you two had quite a conversation about your service. So we thank you as well.
You're welcome. Representative Ballard, thank you for, that was good. Thank you, too. Thank you, Representative Carlson. Committee, I would have you take a look at written testimony by Don Katapish, Larry Pritchett, Dale Stennett, Larry Larson, and Lawrence Barrington. Does anyone else wish to speak as a proponent on this bill? Seeing none, I have no opponents or neutral listed. Does anyone wish to speak on either? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2132. Committee, our next meeting is tomorrow, and we will hear House Bill 2193, and I plan to work House Bill 2015, 2166, 2169, and 2194. Is there any other business that needs to come before the committee this afternoon? Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Were those the ones we heard yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any further business? Seeing none, we are adjourned.